Guys, in this video we are going to see how to connect REST API in our JavaScript. Okay, so let's jump into this video. Okay, we are having a simple HTML file which does not have anything. So now we are going to create a simple HTML content here. Sorry. Okay, so I have created a HTML already. Here I am using a VS Code, which you people know, and HTML and head. Okay, so this is the basic HTML tag which I am using here. Okay, so when we want to declare the JavaScript, that can be declared anywhere. So here I'm using a simple header tag, so script. Okay, and I'm creating a simple JavaScript function here, and maybe get users data. This is the function name I am mentioning here. Okay, so here I am not taking any how to declare the function or anything. I am directly going to how to call the API. Okay, and now I'm going to have a simple button here. So here I'm going to say click to get the users. Okay, so this is what I am having a button here. Now apart from this, I'm going to have a on click. In this on click event, whenever I'm clicking the button, it has to call this function. Okay, so this function I'm mentioning here. Okay, so now here in this one I'm going to use the method called fetch. This method is a fetch method. Okay, this fetch method is like a promise. So whenever we are going to get the data, it will call the API. So when we get the response, it just gives us the response as a promise. So it is not like normal method, it is like a promise callback. Okay, this is the default JavaScript method. So now here what we are going to do, one second. So fine, so now here I am going to just use this method called fetch, and here I need to mention the URL. Okay, so now I am going to use some open source project called open source REST API, which is called requestrest.in. Okay, so this open source website I am going to use it for integrating the API. So as you can see here it is a free API only for the learning purposes. So here I'm just clicking this API. So this is the get API and we can able to get this output. Okay, so this API I'm going to integrate with our JavaScript code. So that URL I need to mention it here. I think I can remove this page as well. Okay, so by default this is the get mapping, so I don't want to mention anything, and when the once the response came here I need to mention the then actually. Okay, so here I need to mention, I need to get extract the JSON, so I need to mention this one. Okay, this is a first step for retrieving the data. Okay, so first we need to mention the URL, next one is we need to extract the JSON response. Actually this is also promise. Next one is we need to catch this data response. So here I'm mentioning this too, and I didn't do anything, I'm just going to print the value in the console, that's it. Okay, so as we know already, we just calling this function, this one. Okay, by clicking the method, this will call this one. Okay, so now what we are going to do, open this web page in our browser. So let me shrink the VS Code and drag and drop this file into our browser. Once again, so here let me drag and drop the file. Okay, so now I have clicked this button. Once again, let me open the inspect to see the console. Okay, as we know, if you are using a console, which means we need to see in the browser console. So again I will just refresh the page. So it does not have anything in the console. By clicking the click to users, I can see the output from the API. Okay, so it is very simple. As you can see here, I can see the output from the API. This output is coming from the API itself. This is what about the simple API integration of JavaScript. So I can use get method. This is the get method. The same way we can go for post also. Post means this is another method where we can send our data. So maybe here I can say post user data. Okay, so I am going to use one more function, and which is called post. Okay, so fine, so this is post, by the way, but when it's a post method, I should mention the method name explicitly, because get means by default if you are not mentioning, it is considered as a get, but when it's post we should mention the post. So here I can mention method as post. Okay, so this is fine. Now next one is I need to mention the body, because body is nothing but the data which we are passing. Okay, so now we need to see the documentation of this website, because we don't know what they are expecting for the post method. So I am going to use as you can see here. Okay, this method we will use it. As you can see here, API users, and they are expecting this argument or these parameters we need to pass. So I will mention this one. Okay, so let params equal to this one. I just hard code it. I am not using any input or anything. Okay, so here I will, and params, and this has to be the body. Fine. Okay, so I think the remaining part will be the same. Okay, this part we don't need to change anything here. Fetch and then API URL, method, post, and everything will be the same. Okay, so post user data will be the same. As you can see here, we can say click to send the users. Maybe here we can say click to get the users. Okay, fine. So I think this has to be the same and everything will be the same. Okay, but here we need to add one more argument. Let me show you what we need actually. Okay, so fine, now go to the browser. Let me refresh it. As you can see here, we are having a two button. The first button is we already executed. By clicking this button, as you can see here, we can get the output. But by clicking the second button, it has to pass the data. Yes, it is showing some error, which means I think spelling mistake. So it has to be like this. Okay, refresh it, click it. Okay, so now as you can see here, it gives us the proper output. Okay, but however, if we go to the network, we know network means we can track our request, whatever the request we are passing from our file, that we can see it here. Now click on the API and the payload here, but the payload is whatever we are seeing here is not actually what we are sending. If you are look at this out, the data which we are sending is name and job. Okay, but in the network we can able to see which is object which we are not sending. Actually we are sending this parameters to the server. So if you want to see this value, or if you want to know how the values are passing in the request or in the fetch method, we are having a body. This body we are passing this value. In order to send the value properly, we should use the function called json.stringify. The reason why we are using is this is the JavaScript object. When we want to pass a JavaScript object to server, it should be json.stringify. Okay, so this is the reason I'm using this function. Now let me save the file, refresh the file, and click to send the users. And as you can see here, we got the proper response called 201, but we need to check whether our data is properly passed or not. Yeah, as you can see here, we can able to see whatever the data I am passing is able to see in the payload, which means what we are passing, and the preview is nothing but the response is properly working. Okay, so this is what about simply integrating our REST API in our JavaScript. Okay, so in this tutorial we have seen how to just call the API. Okay, so maybe in the next tutorial we will see how to bind the response into our HTML page. And if you have any doubts or anything, just post in the comments, and the source code of this project will be available in my GitHub repository, which I have mentioned in the description. And yes, if you have any doubts or anything, you can check it out my website www.sripravan.in, where you can have some blogs as well regarding the programming and all. Okay.